Hello, one and all. This is WellArmedWithTacos, and welcome back to Stories from Sector 10, or as it will be known from this point onwards, Stories from Sector 11. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, so as a refresher course to everyone, including myself, this is Stories from Sector 11, a Warhammer 40k podcast which I host. Sometimes, on very rare occasions, there will be fantasy, but it's mostly just 40k. First, the big elephant in the room, why is it now Sector 11 instead of Sector 10? When I moved from Sector 8 to Sector 10, I explained that basically the reason I changed the name and the title was my game store changed, and the whole idea of the sector was our little Warhammer sector. The store changed between 8 and 10, so I decided to give it a new title and go from there. It's Sector 11 now, because once again, it has changed. However, unlike the difference between 8 and 10, which was a big change, because we moved to a new game store under new management, this is a new game store under the same management. The location simply moved. The management did not. So, it's just a small change, but it's big enough of a change that I decided to give it a new spiffy number. So now, this is Stories from Sector 11. The next big question, why am I doing this again when I stopped doing it a while ago? The last time I stopped doing this was because these videos were starting to become more work than entertainment, and the value I was getting out of them, like the YouTube views, the watches, and video watch time and everything, was not justifying it being a chore to me. I do everything that I do on my channel for my own entertainment and my own fun, and when it stops being entertaining, I stop doing it. And that's why I stopped it before, but now I feel like doing it again. I've been playing Warhammer, still the same as last time before, although a lot has changed since I've done the last stories video, but I feel like doing these again. I have a little bit more free time right now than what I usually do, so I just thought, hey, I can take a couple minutes out of my day to do these. And I want to do the thing that I said I was going to do last time and didn't really do as much as I wanted to. I really do want to make this more focused around elements in 8th edition and not necessarily just the matches that I play, because that's a little boring and tedious. But I'm hoping I can start roping the two things in together. And that's where I'd like to start with today's story. This is a story about the Imperial Assassins. Just a discussion of the Imperial Assassins in general. And there was a game that brought up this discussion. And I will tie that game into this discussion. So what are the Imperial Assassins? The Imperial Assassins are a group of very specific, very specialized characters that any Imperial army can take for a very small selection of points and command points. Yeah, you actually have to pay command points up front to take the Assassins. This, however, is not too big of a deal because in my experience, the Assassins, or at least the one Assassin I've had to fight, they actually have mechanics to earn you command points during the game. More command points than what you spent to bring them there. So, that is a little interesting. And then they cost a very small amount of points. And actually a much smaller amount of points than, in my opinion, that they should be. Here's the thing about the Imperial Assassins. I started playing in 4th edition. I don't remember when my first encountering of the Assassins was. The first time I encountered them probably was 6th edition. Either 6th or 7th. I don't think I've traced them all the way back to 5th in my personal experience. But every edition I've had to fight the Assassins have been overpowered. They have always been overpowered, and in my opinion are overpowered still now. I think they were underpowered before they got their White Dwarf update, but now that they've had their White Dwarf update, they are overpowered again. just the crazy things you can do with them, those crazy stratagems you can put on those guys is ridiculous. The thing about the assassins is they are ultra specialized characters. There is a I'm losing my voice. There's a sniper assassin, there is an anti-psyker assassin, there is an anti-character melee assassin, and an anti-group character assassin. Or, sorry, an anti-group melee assassin. Those are the 4 of them, and they do specialize in the category that they do, but the things that they do so well that it's really, really offensive to the players who have to deal with it. If you have to deal with, say, the Vindicare Assassin, who is the sniper, you can kiss your characters goodbye. They're dead. And armies rely upon Vindicare, or not Vindicare, sorry. Armies rely upon their characters in order to survive in 8th edition. The whole character sniping thing is a whole nother thing that I probably will try not to get into in this video. But that's mostly what they do. They're mostly built to hunt characters. And that is part of the reason why they are broken to me. Because you cannot hunt characters in 8th edition. Almost every army has a way to do it. Almost every army. There are some exceptions. If you're like poor orcs do not have any snipers available to them. They don't have ways to pinpoint out characters, except with the occasional psychic spell, which orcs don't have too many that would help, I'm thinking. No, I don't think so. You can target with smite, of course, because smite is always the nearest enemy. So, if you're one of the armies that doesn't have access to snipers, you're in trouble. If you're one of the armies that has worse snipers, like, say, Necrons with their death marks, you're in trouble. But it's not really a big deal, at least not in this area, because it is a very, very, very mean way to play. In 8th edition, characters are a huge part of any army, and the ability to call them out and kill them is tremendous. Like I said, I'm trying not to get into that too in depth. That's for another video, but that is what the assassins do. However, today's specific assassin discussion is not one of the ones who hunt characters. It's actually the one who hunts hordes, and why he is way, way, way too good at it. So the assassin guy who hunts hordes. Bump my microphone there, sorry. He costs 85 points, which is pretty dirt cheap. Cheaper than most things. And he costs 2 command points. He has an ability on his profile that if he succeeds can get you 3 command points. So he can pay for that quite easily. I think all he has to do is kill a character and he gets 3 back. Something along those lines. And killing characters is not usually too much of a problem for him. Certain characters he struggles with. He's not the one to hunt them down. That's one of the other ones. But he can handle mid-range characters in a fight. But his main thing is he's really good at killing hordes. He's very good at it. So he is weapon skill 2. So he hits on 2s in combat. And he has a weapon that allows him to wound on 3s or 2s. I can't remember. I believe he is strength 5 normally. And if he has to, he has a weapon that he can use to wound you on 2s. But normally, I think he just uses the strength 5 one, which means he wounds most things on 3. The average toughness of the galaxy is 4. So at strength 5, he wounds most things on 3s, especially the horde units that he's meant to hunt. He has 6 attacks. No, I'm sorry, 5 attacks, my bad. 5 attacks, and if he charges you, he gets 8. But if you charge him, or if he heroic interventions or whatever, he only gets 5. Here's the deal. Every enemy that he kills, he gets to roll an extra attack. He hits on 2s, wounds on 3s. This basically means, for the most part, he will have a 100% kill and a 100% ratio of 10 guys per himself. In the game I was playing against this guy, I was playing orcs, and he charged into a squad of boys. Orc boys have a 6-up armor save, meaning if you hit them with any kind of AP at all, I don't even get to roll a die, I just pick up the orc from the table. His strength 5 weapon is also AP -1. So he rolls in there, He rolls his 5 attacks, needing 2s and 3s, 100% hit, 100% wound ratio, 5 orcs die. He then rolls another 5 dice, 100% hit, 100% wound ratio, and another 5 orcs immediately die, because I don't even get to roll a save. This guy rocks into his very first combat. This 5 wound character rocks in and kills 10 boys immediately on his own. No Space Marine character that I can think of can do that. My war bosses can't do that. My Necron characters can't do that. My Tau characters certainly can't do that in close combat, but they're excluded because they're Tau. And no, none of my Gene Stealer Cult characters can do that either. Between the 6 armies that I play, not any of my guys could kill 10 guys in close combat in a single volley, because I don't get that many attacks. And that's a little ridiculous. That's not where it stops, however. That alone would be hard enough to deal with. The problems get worse from there. As I said, he's 5 wounds. He has a 4-up invulnerable save. He is a character, which means he's shielded from any normal shots unless he's the closest enemy, or any kind of sniper rounds, which I guess, honestly, now that I think about it, he might be a little bit more balanced if you also play like a jerk, because you could potentially snipe him off the table, but that's not the way I play, so that's not an option for me. But he's protected from normal shots, and they have a stratagem that at least that one you can use. I'm sure it's on all of them, but at the very least you can use it. That gives him a 4-up Feel No Pain against anything that is not a mortal wound. So he has a 4-up invul on top of a Feel No Pain, so he gets to roll twice to try to save off wounds, making him very, very, very bulky. And as I said, if he charges you, he always rolls 3d6 when he charges and takes the whole set. So his charge range is all the way up to 18 inches, and he's more than likely to get to you wherever he charges you from. So he'll charge every turn basically, and he will fight with 8 attacks every time, which then can potentially turn into 16 depending on how many guys he kills. And against Hoarder armies, that's going to be a lot. If he's fighting boys, he's going to go through them. If he's fighting cultists, he's going to go through them. Any form of cultists. Things like Zangors and demons he'll probably go through, because demons only have a 5-up invul. More than likely he will kill more of them than they save. Eldar he will cut right through. Just about the only thing he would have a hard time with, I think, is Space Marines, because their 3-up armor save would turn to a 4-up armor save, and he would have a hard time getting through that. Mathematically, a 4-up save is a 50-50 shot, so there should be as many Space Marines dying as many live, which is not great for his ability. But for 85 points and 2 command points, yeah, the guy hits pretty hard. The other assassins aren't any better, though I haven't encountered them too many times in 8th edition. I have encountered the Vindicare before. The Vindicare has always been the most popular assassin because he's very good at being a sniper. That's what he does. There's the one who really likes to get to melee combat with characters, because her close combat weapon ignores invul saves, which can pretty much butcher any character in the entirety of 40k, unless you're talking like monstrous creatures like Bloodthirsters. But pretty much anyone else she's going to cut through like a hot knife through butter. And then there's the anti-sucker one, who not too many people bring, because that's really kind of all he does. He prevents psychic powers and has some leadership stuff, but leadership doesn't take a huge play in 8th edition unless you're actively trying to play that field. A couple of -1s here or there don't mean anything. You have to go all into it if that's your plan, which I suppose you could try to do, but I can't think of too many Imperium stuff that revolves around -2 leadership stuff. That's mostly like Chaos's field of control. But yeah, the assassins are a pain in the butt. I don't like them, especially the Vindicare. I guess the melee assassin one or the melee character killer is pretty bad too. But it's a problem with their entire concept of existence. I think the one I had to fight is probably the one I tolerate the best, just because he's built to kill groups, which I think is a much fairer way to play the game. He excels at it in a way that's pretty downright offensive. But About the game that I encountered him in, I did a 2,000 point game with my orcs versus somebody playing Blood Angels with the Assassins as a backup group. He only brought the one. It costs 2 command points. I believe he told me if you spend the 2 command points, you actually can bring up to all 4 of them. It's just 2 to unlock the privilege to have 1 through 4. So you could bring all of them at that point, or for those 2 command points, which is ridiculous. You of course are paying for the match point cost as well, but none of them are above 100 points. It was a pretty good game, but we had to call it for time, so there wasn't a clear winner. The only problem with his assassin cut through a squad of boys like they were nothing, which is pretty bad because a squad of 30 boys is near 300 points. So that was not a good loss for me. But the good news is he ran right into my war boss with the intent to kill him, and failed. And the rule of war boss is if you're going to charge a war boss, you better be prepared to put the war boss down, because if not, the war boss will put you down. And that happened. Even his 4-up Feel of Pain didn't save him against the flat 3 kill a claw that my war boss had. So put a stop to that at some point. But by that point, the damage has already been done. And it was, like I said, it was overall it was an entertaining game, but I don't want to go too much into the game. This video, I'm trying to get away from that. I just wanted to talk about the Assassins for a bit, and that's really all I had to say. This is a good primer for stories to come, I believe. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I will see you all later. This is WellArmedWithTacos, signing off. Take care and bye-bye. And when we come back, I have no idea, because nothing about this series is planned. So, should have another story next week. Well, no, actually, no. I specifically will not have one next week. Next week, there is an Apocalypse game in my game store, and I'm not involved in it. So there will be no Warhammer next week. Maybe 2 weeks from now. We'll see. Thanks.